We are very removed from birth right now. Even 100 years ago, beyond that, like we were just around birth. It happened at home pretty much all the time. We like saw people giving birth. We helped with birth. Like our aunt was the midwife in the village and we helped so it didn't feel as scary, I don't think, because now it kind of like happens like tucked away and we don't really see it. And that mystery makes it feel scary. Also, every time we see it portrayed in, and probably not every time, but most of the time we see it portrayed in TVs and movies, it's like awful. People are screaming and it's an emergency and it's so scary. So that's all we have to go on. And we hear, like, you tell someone you're pregnant and instantly it's like, oh, congratulations. Let me tell you this awful story. So it's scary. We don't hear a lot of the positive. We don't hear a lot of the empowering. I think also there's something to be said for our society not maybe trusting women and not really telling them the full story about how powerful they really are. And like, yeah, it's hard, but you can do it, isn't always the message that is out there. So yeah, I do think that there's a lot of fear around birth. And so I encourage people, we talk about it in the book a lot, like how can you come to terms with that fear? How can you understand why that fear exists? And how can you make friends with the things that you're scared of so that when they come up in your birth, they don't feel as scary? A number of things you can do. First of all, as the writer of a book on pregnancy and birth, I would highly encourage people to read a book on pregnancy and birth. The Motherly Guide to Becoming Mama is a great one. That can really help. Also taking a birth class. Like I said, the Motherly's online birth class is free right now for the COVID pandemic, because I think that surrounding yourself in information that's based on evidence and is presented in a calming, empowering way can do wonders. Because we just, like, you hear the story of a friend, and by the time it gets, like, it's like playing telephone, right? Like by the time it gets to you, like information is missing and you just hear the bad parts so getting like real evidence-based reassuring information can be really helpful. Also, be mindful of who you are hanging out with during your pregnancy. And don't be afraid to put up boundaries. If you have like your best friend is just like constantly telling you horror stories, or, it's okay to say to her, like, I love you so much and I love being with you, but like, I can't hear these stories right now. Or saying to someone like, oh, thank you. You know what? I can't wait to hear your birth story after I give birth. But right now I'm just trying to not really think about other people's births, or whatever it is you need to say, like give yourself permission. Also, again, remember that you don't have to do this alone. So if there's something that's really scaring you about the idea of birth, talk to your provider about it. If you're like, I am terrified about tearing, which is like the worst word ever, by the way, but like, I am terrified about this one aspect of birth, talk to them and see what they can tell you about the process, because chances are they're going to have information that's going to make you feel better. So in the case of tearing, they can say to you like, oh, well, first of all, only such and such percentage of my patients do, and here are all the things that I'm going to do to help prevent tearing, and blah, 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 and here are all the reasons why you don't have to be as scared as you are. Because I think, like, for me, I get worried about something, and then I, like, spiral into this, like, rabbit hole of despair. Really, if I had just got information like sooner on in the process, I would be fine. So don't be afraid to talk to people with that information to help you feel better before getting super scared. I think that understanding, it's kind of like going back to what I was saying about like, you don't have to answer to anyone for your birth. Like, you don't have to answer to anyone for your parenthood either. And you may have just met your baby yesterday. You are that child's expert, and you have been for some time. So if you are not comfortable having somebody kiss your baby, like that is completely valid. And also know that the first time you say it is the hardest time. It's going to get easier and you're going to come up with like a little script for yourself and it's going to get easier and easier. And what is that expression? It's like the people who matter won't mind and the people who mind don't matter or something like that. And I know that that's not always the case, but the people in your life who are going to be the most supportive are the people who are going to get it. The people who are not going to be offended when you say, can you wash your hands before you come over or before you touch the baby, or can you not kiss, or can you, whatever. um they should understand that. I mean, especially now in this, you know pandemic world that we're living in, people have to be even more strict, and you have every right in the world. And the other thing I would say is, like, don't be afraid to blame it on us, your providers. Like, you can just be like, oh, my midwife said that you can't kiss my baby. Like, make me be, I don't know, I'm never going to meet them. Like, I'll be the bad guy. Like, oh, the nurse said that I can't have any visitors for the first week unless you bring me lasagna. I don't know. That's just what she said. Like, it's okay. Make us be the bad guys, because you have to live with these people who don't. But yeah, really just trusting yourself, because those decisions don't stop. They change. But even as you get older, like, there are certain things that I just won't let my 8-year-old do yet. And some of our friends are doing it. And I'm like, we're not going to do that. And so the sooner you empower yourself to make those decisions, the easier it will be moving forward as a parent.